Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for the Scrap Room, and I'm working with the July Flavor of the Month kit. I'm using Pink Paislee's collection, and I created this to share with you today. The Pink Paislee collection in the kit this month is called And Many More. So it kind of has a birthday theme to it, but I am not doing birthday. I'm scrapping. This is a first day of school dinner. So I have fussy cut those flowers there from one of the pattern papers, and now what I'm doing is I am cutting 2-inch squares, and I am using them more like, they're not diamonds, but I'm using them on the angle and doing sort of a quilt kind of type pattern with them. I'm going to use all of the papers and try and get a variety of patterns, and I'm just going to try, and some of these patterns are tone on tone, or pattern papers I should say, and the others are more patterned, and there are stripes to them. So what I'm looking for is to have a mix of the angle of the stripes as well as a mix of the boldness of the patterns here. Funny story about this. I am not very good at math, and we joke with my son about his math skills, but I knew I wanted to get 4 squares on the 45-degree angle on the page, and so I know that has to be a diameter of 2, what was it? I can't remember, of 2. I knew I wanted 4, so I needed to know what size square I needed to cut, and he was awesome at doing that math for me, which was fantastic, because there was no way I was going to figure out that, I think, trigonometry. So yeah, he helped me with his great math skills figure out that it's actually slightly bigger than a 2-inch square. It's like 2.1-inch square that you want, but I just went with 2 because it made it easier, and then that way it gave me a little bit of a border on either edge of the page there. Now I know that this photo is going to go there. That's exactly where I wanted the photo to go. There's no need to cut squares to go behind it, so I'm just going to work around the photo. And again, you can see how I'm trying to mix those darks in with the lighter colors and create some balance, and then knowing where the photo is going to go to with that sort of, there's more shadow on my daughter and I, and so that is a dark element. So those are things to think about when you're thinking about balance. So I am creating with a ScrapRoom kit. When you get ScrapRoom kits, you get 4 different collections if you get the Flavor of the Month kit. So this month we have Doodlebug, The Land That I Love, so that's a 4th of July sort of themed collection, although you could not do 4th of July with it. It's just red, white, and blue. And then you have Pebbles, Live Life Happy, this collection that I'm working with, Pink Paislee, and many more. And then Photoplay, Can We Just Stay Home, which is a COVID sort of based collection. So I love that Rochelle, she tries to stick with the theme of those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. So you get a collection, collections that are relevant to the times, as well as they're not all just girly collections. This one you can see is pretty girly, but you could do a boy page with this as well. And so there's a nice mix of masculine and feminine, as well as holiday and not holiday, and I love that you can supplement these collections or kits by putting the pattern paper add-on if you want additional, like I do, and then the embellishment add-on, which I am also creating with as well. So I've lined up the squares there, trying to just get the squares to be in a straight line across, only they're not diamonds, so I'm not sure what shape to call this. A square diamond, maybe? That'll work. So I want to trim down the picture here because I don't want to block. I want you to still have the illusion of the square diamonds at the top there, and some of that shadow was not necessary in the photo there. So I'm working with the embellishments that come with the kit. You get a selection of embellishments, and with this you get a quarter pack of the ephemera, so that's obviously going to vary, and then you also get the washi. And so I have also fussy cut these flowers here, which gives me additional embellishments as well. I am not working with the party theme, and so I wanted to have a little bit more of the focus on the floral, just because this is a back to school sort of themed layout. Every night, most nights, on the first day of school, we take the kids out for dinner, and we happened to go to Mama Cucina's this time, and this is just a photo of Mia and I. The boys were with us too, but that's a separate photo and will probably be a separate layout. So I had pulled a bunch of stamps from my stash. I wanted to put something on the inside, on the white space of this sort of grid-like layout. And so what I was toying with there is what I was going to put, and I decided, well, I'm going to stitch it first, see how much space I have, and then I'll decide what it is that I'm going to fill those with. So I used a gold thread and just stitched in the gutter of the layout there. I want to back this Polaroid frame, and I was being lazy and I was going to try and trace it and cut it from the inside there, but I decided that there was more risk involved than that, in case I ended up needing more and then you ended up having that gaping hole, and I wasn't sure how I was going to cover that. So I just ran and got a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to back that, and I want my journaling to go in there. I want to pop the photo a little bit. It doesn't stand out as much because of the busyness of all of the pattern papers. So I'm going to back that with some of the yellow pattern paper, the tone on tone, sort of that mustard yellow there. And then I like to pop my photos. And so I'm just using some fun foam that is not part of the kit, that is part of my collection. And I love the way that the yellow just pops the color in the photo and pops, and how those colors meld nicely with the colors in the collection. So I'm just going to trim that out. I will tell you that off camera. So you saw me toying with those stamps earlier, and I am actually going to go with one of those stamp sets. It's the Maggie Holmes bows. And you will see me later on. I keep it in the video that I have some felt bows that I cut with, I can't remember who the die is from, but I had some hot pink felt bows that I was playing with, and I thought that I would use those. And I left that part of the video in because I want to show you that, you know, sometimes you think something's going to go and you toy with it and your mind tells you, no, it's not going to work, but you keep playing with it anyway because you know you want something along those lines. And so I left that in the video and you'll see it coming up, but I am off camera going to stamp in a hot pink. But what I like about the difference between the stamped bows that you'll see in the close-ups versus these hot pink bows is while I use a hot pink stamp, it's not as dominantly hot pink, and so it complements the layout instead of standing out against the layout. So I have a trio of flowers here, and they're going to cover up the sort of busyness in the background of the photo because of my depth of field was too sharp in that top right corner. And then that bigger cluster of flowers on the left-hand side sort of softens that hot pink in the Polaroid frame. And then I'm able to layer up some of the flowers there on the right-hand side there. So it does cover up those square diamonds, but you still see enough of them that you know that that's how that's going to go. So where those stars are now currently is where I'm going to end up putting the bows that I referenced, and you'll see me pull in those other bows later. I do like the stars there, but there's something, they just don't fill up enough of that space that they weren't quite the look that I was looking for, which is why I will pull those up and I will put the fussy cut bows in. Let's see, Classy is the title because that's what comes with it. I wouldn't say, I'm going to actually amend that. I'm going to stick it down and I'm going to change my mind and put in a different title. The other thing that I am going to do off camera is I am going to use a date stamp and stamp in the date at the very bottom right at that square diamond there. I'm going to use a similar color ink and date that. So also with the kits, if you subscribe to the ScrapRoom, you will get a coffee sample, which is also really nice to get. Lots of different flavored coffees that Rochelle sends out. So this is where I'm going to move those stars because I didn't like them, but I do like them on the fringes of the layout. I had also, you probably saw me earlier, I thought maybe some of the embellishments would be fun on some of the plainer squares, but actually you need those solid colors to tame down the busyness of all the other things that are on the page. So these are these hot pink bows that I referenced. You can see they're really bright, and I don't know what I was thinking when I thought that I would put them on the junction of those square rectangles. I am going to try them inside the empty space, but yeah, that doesn't work either. There's just something about the contrast that you lose in those hot pink bows. So you can see I cut the Y off of Classy and I'm going to put Class Act. And the reason I went with Class Act is because it is the first day of school. Dinner, and we did get a little bit dressed up for this. We don't normally get dressed up, so there is where I put them in the space, and that's where I decide I like them in that white space, but not necessarily those particular bows. I wanted to try and incorporate that washi into the page, and I tried it on the top of the photo, but again, you lose the illusion of the symmetry to the top to the bottom of the page. Then I thought maybe that the bows would work nicely on the little tassel banner, but again, it just ruins the overall look of the page. So there are the close-ups. Enjoy the close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.